Hello, this is Builder Shed here, and today I will be talking about the Steam Deck. Steam Deck was announced a few days ago by Valve, and the new thing, it's basically a console, like a, it's similar to Nintendo Switch, but you just don't take the controllers out. It's a handheld gaming computer. Yeah. So the thing runs Steam OS, an Arch-based version of it, with KDE Plasma as the desktop. And that's pretty much one of the reasons why I'm talking about on this channel and on the Builder Shade Gaming channel, or even at all. Because it's running Linux. Basically, same thing I run on my main computer. But think about, and the thing's actually pretty cool for what it seems. It's literally anything you own on Steam. So pretty much if you're a PC gamer, you can just use this thing as much as you want. Or if you own a lot of games on Steam, you could practically use them like no tomorrow. And the fact that Proton's getting, and this is practically another incentive for Proton to get better too, and this will also allow a lot more people to play many more games too, and maybe get into PC gaming a bit and stuff. So let's talk about specifics. First of all, it's not running at 1080p resolution, but don't panic. It still has a pretty good pixels per inch. Basically enough that you shouldn't worry. It's a little bit above 720p. Again, you shouldn't worry about it. Pixels per inch is pretty good. And then I think it is similar to a PC, sort of. So yeah, all sort of similar to a monitor. So yeah, but that's so. The base model is 300 is $399, or you can just round up to $400 USD. I'm not talking about Canadian dollars or Aussie dollars, you know what I mean? Nor did I say euro or pound. So sorry y'all, but maybe I should actually include those like on the panel, like on this side. It's price in other nations, like in other parts of the world. But moving on, the base model has 64 gigabytes of space, which I think we all have to admit is barely enough to hold any kind of game. And you're not going to be able to install any game on that at all, sadly. Like barely any, maybe a couple games. But the fact that games now are having like duplications of their files and are coming with 4K textures off the bat and stuff, and basically costing the file, like the space the game's requiring to be all the way up high, like 100 gigs at least. Like 64 gigabytes is not enough unless you're doing some retro stuff on there, or some early 2010s or 2000s games. The next model is $529 or $530, and it comes with, I believe, 256 gigabytes of space. I guess I could double check that, because I did pull it up on my phone recently. Yup, 256 gigabytes. I'm correct there. And not to forget, since I just saw that, like looked at it again, it's also come with the carrying case, even the base version. But if I'd recommend a version for anyone to get, it'd be the $530 model, because you're not going to be able to fit any kind of games on 64 gigabytes of space these days, sadly. And also, the $530 model also has faster storage. It's faster. Like it runs on NVMe, unlike the base model. And then you have the $6,500 model, which basically has 512 gigabytes in it. I don't know why they couldn't have put a terabyte in there. But it also comes with some more, like some cool stuff. Like I could pull it up again if you want to know. Literally fastest storage. And of course, it comes with premium anti-glare etched glass, which is quite cool. especially when you're doubling the space and with the fact that it's 600 ace, but only like going up by like hundred and a quarter dollars. Exclusive carrying case, so you got like an exclusive one for this model, not like the other two. You do get a carrying case for the other two though. Exclusive Steam Community Profile bundle. It's same thing you get for the 529 model, dollar model, and an exclusive virtual keyboard theme. Which, to be honest, are quite some nice benefits for going for a higher end Steam Deck. And to be, and I was some more of the specs. Let me move them up a little bit. So tech specs. So Steam Deck comes with the D-pad, view, thumbstick, which also operates an L3 button. Like many controllers these days, this is like an L3 button, and this is usually your R3 button that I'm pressing on right now. That's how most joysticks operate these days. There's also a trackpad, which I believe there are trackpads on the Steam controller as well, which I'm guessing are for like simulating a mouse, sort of, because they will be running, more likely be using Proton, like Steam Proton, to get the games running on Linux, and the fact that you're playing PC games too. But don't worry, a lot of modern games also come with controller support. Like I know Black Ops 3 for sure comes with controller support if you're looking to play some custom zombies on this, though. If you're playing custom zombies, I'd say try paying for about $600. But I'd say hey, like if you're going to do custom zombies like Black Ops 3, I'd say you just either play it on your computer, or if you really want to play it on a Steam Deck, just go for the 512 gigabyte model. And yeah, my cat. So 5 is basically a Steam button. Most controllers these days also have a button for opening up a home menu. For example, the Xbox controller has an Xbox button dedicated for that. The Nintendo controllers have like a Nintendo button for that and stuff. There's also a left speaker for like giving out audio to you. That's basically a standard of handheld devices. 7-inch touchscreen. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier, like how like it's a tablet device, sort of like about the size of a Nintendo Switch, more likely, or basically the pixels per inch is going to be still at a good amount, despite being at a lower resolution. So shouldn't be much you should be worrying about. In fact, lower resolutions can help games run faster anyways. In fact, that's what I used to do back when I had the RX 550 in my computer when I was playing on Windows. Like, I'd always set the resolution down to 720p in my games. Thumbstick R3, yep, same. I've already demonstrated this one. 9, basically the menu. I'm guessing that's like a menu button on there. ABXY. It looks to be quite similar to the scheme you'd find on these. ABXY. So yeah, they're up, like, it's kind of the standard game controller type 4-button scheme like that anyways. It's probably been standardized since the 7th generation of consoles, I believe. You know, here, and completely standardized since the 8th gen, because that's when the Wii U, the Xbox, and PlayStation, both controller designs weren't that far different. Like, it still had the main concepts, 2 joysticks, these 4 buttons in a 4 buttons over here, like in a rotated square pattern, a D-pad, select and pause, and basically 2 triggers for each side on the back. So yeah, Steam Deck has that too. Quick access, right speaker, and of course you need a microphone. That's kind of a no-brainer, to be honest. Of course, comes with L2, L1 volume headphone jack. Yeah. At least comes with the headphone jack, so you know you're not dealing with another Apple device. Yeah. Charging port, of course, it's a handheld device. Do you really expect it to be a handheld device that does not come with the charging port? Like, you're talking modern day device. You're not talking about a Game Boy Advance where you have to pop open the backside, put new batteries in. You can't forget a fan too, because remember, it's running PC games, not games you find on Nintendo Switch. Remember, laptops come with fan. That's for a reason, or you need to get a fan for a laptop for a reason. And basically, status LED, power button, R1, R2, blah blah blah. And apparently, you got a few more buttons: R4, R5, L4, L5. If this was a SCUF controller, looks like you won't be needing SCUFs today, peeps. But just map these jump buttons and you're practically just simulating the SCUF controller, basically. And of course, you need a micro SD slot if you're going to need to put more games on there. That's kind of a requirement, to be honest. Like, if you're really going to get the $399, the $400 one, I'd advise getting a pretty big, like, SD card that has a lot of space on it. If you're willing to do some game, because games are not under 64 gigabytes these days, sadly. And of course, here are the processors. AMD APU, CPU Zen 2, 4 cores, 8 threads. My CPU has 4 cores and 8 threads too, but it's sadly a 3rd gen Intel CPU and not a Zen 2 CPU. 2.4 to 3.5 gigahertz in that range, so it's pretty good. It's similar in specs on that area to my computer right here's. 8 RDNA, 2 CUs, and 1.0 to 1.6 gigahertz, up to 1.6 teraflops FP32. My hard drive, my graphics card, I think goes up to around 6 teraflops, but again, this runs out lower resolution, but pixels per inch is still good. So nothing to worry about there. And of course, controls output, yeah. It also has a gyro. Just make sure to remember that. Which means you can start rolling basically a Steam Deck around. Not to say you're going to have Temple Run on it. It's not an iPhone, y'all. It's not a phone. It's not a Samsung. It's not an iPad. It's a game. It's a Samsung Deck. It's not going, like, if you know you're not going to be playing no Temple Run or something if Temple Run's not on a Switch. Just keep that in mind. Resolution 1280 by 800 pixels, 16 by 10 aspect ratio. I was quite close, but still. That's basically on par to what I said earlier. 1280 by 800 pixels is not bad for our resolution, especially when you got like a lower end graphics card that's not an RTX in there, if you know what I mean. These days games are begging for everything. Of course, the refresh rate 60 Hz on the display. Display size is 7-inch diagonal, so shouldn't be. So again, pixels per inch. It's not like you're having an entire computer monitor that's 1280 by 800. Thank the Lord it ain't. It's 7-inch display, so shouldn't be much of a problem for anyone. Touch enabled? Yes. Sensors, ambient light sensor. And of course, connectivity, Bluetooth 5.0, support for controllers, accessories, and audio. Wi-Fi, dual band Wi-Fi radio, 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. Yep. basically modern day type stuff. Like, it's May 2021, you should expect that stuff anyways, especially in something like this. Of course. And yeah, like that. You can all some more things about Steam Deck, or you can plug it into your like a display or something. So basically quite similar to a Nintendo Switch in that regard, as well as you can even literally dock it like a Nintendo Switch. So it kind of resembles that in that regard, but the specs are higher, obviously. And an even better, it's running Linux, Steam OS, specifically a newer version of Steam OS. Obviously, I know I've mentioned that earlier, but I think it may need to mention again because with Linux you can do a lot more, and it's practically open. Not to say, hey, Valve's going to close it down, but I don't think they're going to close it down much. So you can literally use it like a work PC. Screw this thing. You might as well just get a Steam Deck and do LibreOffice on it. Yeah, it's not just for gaming, but it's advertised for gaming. Yeah, so that's a big, nice positive in my opinion. Screw you, iPad. Screw this thing too. I'm reckless on those things, but so now the other part. What does this mean for Linux? So, to be honest, I feel like I mentioned this earlier, but I feel like stuff like Proton, like there's going to be more attention on stuff like Proton. Developers are probably going to like try to ensure their games work with Proton maybe a bit. And even better, Valve is talking with Easy Anti-Cheat and BattleEye to basically get this working through Proton. So yes, you may finally be able to play Rainbow Six Siege and many more on Linux. As well as PUBG if you still play that. And if that were to apply further than Proton, like if it were to apply to Wine as well, you'd be playing Fortnite or Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Black Ops Cold War, or Warzone on Linux. They're Wine or Proton, but I'm going to go with the safe route. Say that's probably just going to go to at least Proton for now. The one point Nick from the Linux experiment brought up, though, was like he brought up the idea that it would basically cause a cascade, like a cycle effect, or like it'd bring more attention to Linux and people and more OEMs and stuff, and then you get more soft reported Linux, if you know what I mean. You should go check out his video, by the way, after this, if you haven't checked it out already. But the thing is, and to be honest, I wouldn't say it's going to cause a cycling effect, because like not many people are going to know that thing runs Linux till they dig a little deeper. And there's going to be a little bit of problems, if you know what I mean, with Proton too. Like, Proton's not perfect. Like, sadly, still, gaming is, like, every game that has been ever made works with Windows and Proton's compatibility layer. So the fact that you're using, so not all games are going to work, but there's an increasing amount of games and a lot of games that work with Proton now, and that's something to be happy about. And I don't think that should leave your guard down. You should use that and appreciate it. And I don't think you should be really using it as downside. And the fact that Valve is home with BattleEye and Easy Anti-Cheat to basically work on getting like Easy Anti-Cheat and BattleEye to work with Proton. That should ease up a lot of more things. So you should be able to play a lot of games on Linux then. And that's, I think, the main positive for us Linux users that's going to come out of this. More games working through Proton, and especially anti-cheats are not going to be posing as much of a problem they did as they used to. So, let's get to the juicy part. am I going to get a Steam Deck? And the question is, I think the answer is, I have no clue right now, to be completely honest. I'd like to get one, but again, at least it come out in December, but right now you're having scalpers already trying to scalp them, which I may be, like, I may be a bit more in support of I may be in support of capitalism, but at the same time, anything without regulation is going to fall apart. And I think scalping needs to be made illegal. Take big dumps on me as much as you want, but I think it needs to be made illegal to scalp products at all. And no, that's not a socialist or communist idea. It's just a piece of common sense. Scumbaggery should not be legal. Mainly extreme scumbaggery, which is scalping in a nutshell. I know price gouging is technically worse, but scalping's still bad. And I think the problem with scalping now is that people are now using bots and things are just getting quickly drained out of stock immediately as they get restocked. You've seen that with the Series X, the PlayStation 5, and as well as the graphics cards that came out recently. Like, scalpers using bots and they're draining the supplies. That I think there needs to be a piece of regulation that needs to come out already that needs to make crap like this illegal. Like, fine the crap out of these people, F-I-N-E. That may sound like fine to some people. But fine the crap out of these people, or just do something at least. That's what I want to see. But I know I don't have the power to do that, but again, putting your voice out there helps. So, and to be honest, the positive though is that I'm turning 16 in August. I've already got a learner's permit. And I should be able to drive on myself by at least January. So I should be able to get a job by then, and hopefully be able to make some money and enough money to get myself a Steam Deck if I can. So yeah, when I get my hands on a Steam Deck, I'll review it. So this Bitter Shed here. Hope to see y'all next time. See ya! If y'all like this type of content, make sure to drop a like. If you want to see more of this content, make sure to subscribe. If you don't like this content, or specifically this video, drop a dislike. And it'd be heavily appreciated if you were to also drop a comment explaining why you disliked the video and some issues, also known as constructive feedback. I'll see y'all next time. See ya.